Hey guys, welcome to Bastion Time. I am your host Bastion. This is Nintendo News. Let's get to that news, shall we? First of all, there's this thing called the Living Farm History Museum or something like that. And they recently contacted Nintendo and said, hey, we see you got this game about milking cows. Well, we know a thing or two about milking cows. Why don't we challenge you to some cow milking? And it's not clear to me whether they mean actual cows or just playing against Nintendo in 1-2 Switch, but Nintendo accepted the challenge, so we will see how that all pans out. That's pretty amusing. I'm really liking this newer vibe that Nintendo has going on, where they are making themselves sort of available to do these silly kinds of things. You know, like Reggie's on various talk shows and whatnot lately, and there are different kinds of events that are occurring that didn't used to happen back in the day when Nintendo of America just kind of followed suit with Nintendo of Japan and was, let's be honest, a little stodgy, a little stick-up-hiney. But that's not really the case anymore. They're kind of making themselves more available for fun things and doing silly things on social media and whatnot, so I'm very glad to see Nintendo kind of transition to better represent their brand, basically, in my opinion. But anyways, if you want to read more about that, there's a link down there for you. Our next story is about a bar that decided to give itself a very fancy Super Mario Bros. Makeover. It looks frickin' amazing. You know, I don't really drink much, to be honest with you. I don't tend to go to a lot of bars. It's just not anything that really interests me that much. I'd much rather be playing video games or whatever, or going for a hike or going camping or something. I don't know. Not that there's anything wrong with going to bars, of course, or having, you know, some responsible drinking or whatever, but it's just nothing that really excites me that much, so I don't. But this bar, I would totally be a frequent customer at. This is awesome. If you want to check out more pictures of that, there's a link down there for you. Our next story is about that JoyCon syncing issue. Now, in case you were not aware, people came out and said, hey, what the heck's going on? My left Joy-Con is not syncing properly. Why is that? And Nintendo said, well, we're investigating that. They've finished their investigation, and what they've determined is it's not a design flaw, it's just, unfortunately, how some Joy-Cons were put together in the factory, I guess. And so it's only true for some Joy-Cons and not all, and then some of them it's more serious than others, like some of them they just desync in the middle of playing a game or whatever. I haven't experienced that, but I will say what I have experienced is when I'm syncing them originally, when I first turn the console on and it, you know, asks you to hold down the right and left on each Joy-Con, the right syncs instantaneously. The left, I gotta try a few times before it will sync, and then I'm good to go for the rest of my play session. I have no more issues, but anytime I turn it off and turn it back on again, the right syncs immediately, the left takes its sweet time, so a good 2 or 3 attempts. But apparently, if you send your Joy-Cons in, Nintendo will fix them. They've also provided information on, or maybe they didn't provide the information, but somebody found out how to fix it yourself. If you want to do that, I don't advise that. That can always go disastrously wrong, but now we know. It's just basically a little piece inside didn't get put in the right place in some instances, and so you just gotta move it around and then it's fixed. Our final story for the day, unfortunately, is going to become a rant, I am afraid, but we'll see how that goes. If you watched my disaster of a video yesterday, it's not going to be that bad. I just kept babbling non-stop in that one, but basically, the issue at hand is the video game site Go Nintendo, which is my personal favorite place to get Nintendo news. I read it religiously. I read every single news story they put out. Well, not every single news story. I will skim past things that do not seem the least bit interesting to me, let's be honest, but basically that's where I go to make these videos. Every single day I'm reading their site, compiling a list of topics that, you know, I watch the video or read the story, and then I compile a list of the things I want to talk about. Well, lately I've been having some issues with them, which is Breath of the Wild specific issues, and it's that they don't seem to understand what is a spoiler or not. They will say things like, oh, how to get such and such weapon or armor in Breath of the Wild, and it's like, well, I didn't even want to know that that existed until I found it myself. I don't want you telling me how to get it and thus revealing that it exists. The whole point of Breath of the Wild is to find this stuff out yourself. Find out that things even exist yourself. So it's very frustrating that they keep spoiling things. Not to mention that for whatever reason, they keep posting about how to beat certain shrines. And so they mention what the shrine is, and they have a picture of the solution, you know, the thumbnail for the video, for the solution to how to beat that shrine, and it's like, it's a good thing I already figured that out myself, because the thumbnail shows how to beat it, and I don't want to know that ahead of time. I want to go into the shrine with no foreknowledge and just figure it out on my own. That's the whole point. And then if I have a problem, I might consider looking up a walkthrough or something, or videos, but yeah. Anyways, it's just very frustrating. Well, they did something even more irksome today. As I'm recording this video, I was looking up for more news because there wasn't a whole heck of a lot that I had compiled. There wasn't really much coming out. And this time, it's like they went in the exact opposite direction. The title of the video was something like, how to find the ... in Breath of the Wild. And it's like, that is of no use. I don't know whether this is something I want to watch or not, because you didn't include in it any information about what the thing is, so I don't know if I've already found it or not, so I don't know whether it's okay for me to look at this or not. And it's like, what's the point of posting? It's like, instead of trying to find a compromise, they just went in the exact opposite direction and included as little information as possible, thereby making it impossible to know whether it's a spoiler to me personally or not. So, I don't know. But yeah, if you want to know how to find the ... in Breath of the Wild, how would you even know if that's something you've already found or not? So basically the point that I'm trying to make here is, of course everybody's gonna click through the article to see what it is that they are hiding as a potential spoiler, to see whether or not it's something they already have or not. But if it's not something they already have, well, now they know that that thing exists because they've clicked through, because they didn't know whether they should or not. I don't know. As somebody who used to manage some Zelda fan sites, being the editor-in-chief on a couple Zelda fan sites, you know, what I would have suggested to the article writer, if this was one of the people on my staff, was, you know, maybe if we don't want to spoil exactly what this thing is, we might want to make some sort of illusion that doesn't spoil it, but at least gives some kind of information, like how to find the legendary thing, or I don't know. That's not a good solution. I would have thought about it for a while before suggesting anything, but I haven't yet because I'm just babbling right now. But in any case, there's clearly some middle ground here between spoiling it by saying exactly what it is, and then spoiling it by saying absolutely nothing about what it is, forcing people to click through to find out what it is, thereby spoiling it. So there's got to be some middle ground. Any case, I'm finding, just specifically with relation to Breath of the Wild, Go Nintendo a little frustrating lately. And also, back to the shrines thing, I don't even understand why that's a news article. Like, there are a bazillion shrines. Are they seriously going to post every single time they want to write about a solution to a shrine? They're not a walkthrough. It's not a news story. I don't know. I just find I'm just a little amped up and find it a little frustrating. But now I'm babbling, so let's stop there. That's it for this episode of Nintendo News. See you guys maybe tomorrow or the